Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to JP Broadcasting. And welcome in to round 5 of the League Zero Formula Series here out at the wonderful Sebring circuit. We're in the midst of qualifying at the moment for these Super Formula cars out here in Florida this evening. I'm your commentator Hamish, Munro, joined once again by Dean Biggles alongside. Dean, we're at the home of the Sebring 12-hour, as well as previously the 1,200 kilometres of Sebring as well in this circuit that it's almost 3 circuits in one. It's very similar to the likes of Road America and a couple of others as well. And it's got a lot of characteristics about it that will challenge these drivers, especially in these cars with the fast-paced effort and high downforce areas too. But I'm excited for tonight. It's going to be a good race. Last week at Long Beach, it was, well, there's another word for it, a nuclear disaster pretty much, which Long Beach normally is. But tonight at Sebring, I think we'll be in for a good challenge to these drivers at a circuit with basically no elevation changes, but a lot of bumps around this place.
Wasn't too bad, but
for five drivers in race 2, it wasn't so bad. But you get that when you head out to Long Beach. But Sebring is it's got a lot of street circuit-esque stuff to it as
naughty.
Cars are going around. That's in DBML. Yeah. So the championship standings at the moment, it's becoming a 2-horse race in DBML and Fabian Sanchez leading the ticker at the moment. There's only 3 points that separate them, 98 and 95 points apiece. Then Felipe Sarkis is in P3 on 68 points, 30 points off the lead. AJ Brenner P4 at the moment on 65. Michael Briscoe on 59 for the top 5. The big losers out of last week's Long Beach race pretty much was Jaden Callaway, who has been in the championship fight, and then Adam Merchant, who wasn't at Long Beach last week. So hopefully these guys can get out there, get a solid race tonight, maybe hope for a bit of bad luck for DBML and Fabian Sanchez as well. And I'm looking at the current entry list, and there's no Adam Merchant. So I think at this point, he's just an X factor now for whoever's battling for the championship, because I don't think he's actually going to be in it by the end of the season, Dean, if he's missing 2 rounds in a row.
That's true. You got to be in it to win it, as they say. We saw earlier just Hayden Callaway that's at the fastest time at the moment, about 2/10, almost 3/10 there over ML. He just absolutely banked it out of that final corner, isn't it? It was sending purples through the roof as we're watching the Benetton-esque livery here of Nicholas, who is running in the team called Looking for a Team. Still.
Well,
so many rounds into this one.
There's a team out there. Put some high vis on. Make yourself visible, because Nicholas Isidro is looking for one.
Talk to Fabio Bertori. He's the old Benetton team owner. He'll be able to sort you out, my friend. That's our schedule as well, too, that we are currently, as you can see, halfway through. This is it. The situation where you want to get in that home stretch and get points after points after points to some fantastic tracks. As you mentioned, we got Monza and the Temple of Speed there, and then we go down under for Phillip Island, where we're going to get Vegemite sandwiches all prepared for the drivers, of course.
The Australian Hour of Power returns for a one-night only affair. Nice little deep cut for fans of the race for mental health. Then we head out to the Nürburgring, of course, for the Grand Prix Stärker. Specifically WEC layout, the better layout of the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit, which has the better chicane at the end of the circuit, not the literal cut back chicane, which is used normally for DTM or TCR cars. Imola as well for Autodromo Internacional and Edina Ferrari, and then Circuit of the Americas. But round 5, once this round's over, Dean, we're literally at the halfway point of the season. As qualifying comes to an end, Jaden Callaway has claimed the pole. Amel and Sanchez, those championship contenders starting up the front. Where once we leave Sebring tonight, even though we already have somewhat of a good sort of mapping of who's in this championship battle, this is where we're really going to start to get into the meat and potatoes of who is battling it out for this championship. Sebring it's pretty much the last chance before the last 5 rounds that we're going to get any late runners towards the top, I think, because it's going to be tough across those final 5 rounds. But Callaway and Amel will start front row. Sanchez and Zerha on the second. Then we've got Antonio Bianchi and Michael Briscoe for your top 6. Leo Del Mar, Nick Pedersen for the top 8. Nicholas Isidro and Jace Meyer will make up the top 10. Xavier Sonar and AJ Brenner for your 6th row of the grid. Michael Fairchild and Jared Ziegler will make up the top 14. Ryan Tilbor and Arturo Mayorga will make up the top 16. Cameron Keel, James Turnbull for your top 18. Austin Thomas and Robert Nobles for the top 20. Christian Rickriegel and Peter Reitinger for the top 22, with Julian Mador and Elliot Cord for the 24-car grid here this evening. We've gotten a little bit more international flavour about the series tonight, Dean. I'm noticing a couple of new names, namely Peter Reitinger, as well as Nicholas Isidro, we haven't seen for a few weeks now, but multiple and I don't want to say ethnicities, but multiple countries being represented here this evening. But that Australian Gareth McAllister not in the field.
No.
Not so surprising though, because for us at the moment it is Good Friday, so he's probably away enjoying his Easter weekend.
Yeah, we shouldn't be working, James. But
lovely holiday.
We have simultaneously 3 broadcasts happening at the moment on the JP Broadcast Network, but this is the one to watch for the Formula Series.
As the lights go out and we're underway at Sebring, Callaway and Amel lead us away down towards turn 1 as they scramble for position. This is one of the corners they're going to have to be careful early here, Dean. Cars can very easily get overlapped with each other through there. They look to have made it through nice and cleanly. A couple of drivers dropping positions, but there's big debris on the road. That there was Christian Rickriegel off the road in the background, who's now dropped and had to tow back to pit lane as they run down towards the hard braking zone at the hairpin. As Reitzinger looks to make his way forward, as does Leo Del Mar. Zerha looks to move up the inside to get back inside of the top 5. Gets the job done on Del Mar. I think the next major test, the next zone they're going to have to be cautious of now, Dean, is the Lamore corner, or just before the Lamore corner, the curb of death, as it is known, where we have seen many a times at Sebring, cars end up in the wall or beached on the curb, and all hell breaks loose. So drivers are going to have to take it cautious through the little twisty section that leads up towards the back straight, towards the final corner. So we've somewhat made it nice and cleanly away. Turnbull's also had to tow back to pit, so there's been a little bit of damage, but we'll check it all out at the end of lap 1. As we can see here, this battle that is happening at the moment between Elliot Court. He's had a terrific start, it must be said, Dean, up 9 positions as we make it onto the back straight. And then Nicholas Isidro up 3 into the top 6 as well. So there's some big movers already. Another one is Austin Thomas up 7. The biggest loser, though.
Wide.
Oh, that is not the place to do it. There's big contact, and that's why. Massive contact, massive moment. Multiple cars out of the race, and they've had to tow back to pit lane. Fairchild, Mayorga, Keel, Turnbull, Rickriegel, all out at the end of lap 1. I think Ziegler's also in. But why are you going 4 wide, gentlemen, on lap 1? Oh, it was massive netcode on that one.
He just lost it on his own, but yeah, and it caused it. So, fair play. I mean, four wide, I mean, that's going to also put 4 cars into a position where they haven't got time to react. But they are risking it for the biscuit, I'd say, very, very early on that one. You can see he just gets a little loose when he gets the power down there. Smash takes out the other driver next to him. And then there's a little clip of the rear wheel goes bang off there. Well, stays on actually with the tether, and that's 4 cars out just like that on one corner on lap 2.
We've had 6 cars total had to enter pit lane and are now out of this race. As we ride on board with Austin Thomas, who's up 7 positions. Elliot Court is just ahead of him, is up 13 positions, as Nicholas Isidro has now gone off track just up ahead of them. There you see him spun around. He's looking for a team. Well, he's also looking for an opportunity to rejoin the track.
Too soon. Yeah, exactly. There's a bit of action happening already, isn't it?
Don't go off track. Don't get chirped.
We need our Aussie. Remember our Aussie driver at Long Beach?
Where is he?
Yeah, lapping a second a lap that everybody else still manages to finish P5. At the moment, there's attrition because it looks like we've just lost Elliot as well, too. Bingo. Elliot is out.
No.
This is going to be an attrition race as well, too. This is only heat 1.
I think so. Big ride over the grass and bang. Of course, no fast repairs. Dean, which was right at the forefront last week at Long Beach, and it appears tonight at Sebring. It's going to be a very similar prospect for these drivers.
AJ,
he's kept it going, which is good. Can we have a look at Christian Rickriegel on lap 1? It was at 2:11.52, just so we can see what happened to him that took him out of this race. Oh, okay, he actually just rear-ended another car. and then got rear-ended himself.
Yeah, just going to run back that one up for a second so
Yeah.
that we get to the right to the action. There it is.
Well, he lasted longer than Liam Lawson did in the Red Bull car. Not that that was very hard, but...
It lasted longer than the US stock market as well.
We're going for the jugular, apparently, here this evening as well. Shade79 as well in the chat. Long Beach PTSD is already kicking in. Can we put much blame to that? I don't think so. I don't think so for Shard, who was inevitably involved in some of those moments last week. Austin Thomas, though, finds his way inside the top 10. He is one of 3 drivers up 9 positions, as well as Robert Nobles and Julian Madore. Peter Wrighton goes up 7 at the moment into the top 15, although he's just lost the spot to Nicholas Asidro. Nick Pedersen looks for the move on Leo Del Mar into the final corner. So high speed through there, got the job done. Those thick rear tyres getting worked to their absolute maximum, but Del Mar, who took the deeper line to the final corner, is going to get the dividends by hitting the run down the main straight towards turn number 1. And it's almost a similar mindset to what we had at Long Beach last week, then, although a much wider trajectory here. Oh, there's a bit of a knock. Just be careful there, Nick, and he's off the road. You take the tighter line through the final corner, you hurt your run. But if you take the deeper line, you risk giving up position, but then you get the better run towards turn 1. So it's a balancing act of deciding how you want to defend or how you wish to attack, but that's worked out well for Leo Del Mar as Xavier Sernat, the Frenchman in the 12 car. He's currently P12 on the road, so maybe if he just stays there, we keep it nice and perfect for those with OCD in the chat, possibly.
Absolutely. And Nick went off track a little bit further, but he's currently running, Nick Peterson's currently running P8, where he started this race on. Jaden Callaway still in the lead by 7/10 currently at the moment over Nutty ML, and we know what happens with those drivers when they kind of get together, wasn't it?
Well, we saw last week what happened with Amel and Court when there was a moment at turn 5.
Yeah, Elliot Court, who is out of this race currently at the moment too. Yeah, that's. Did you know what happened with that one, with the beef in the chat per se? Afterwards, we're going to see a nice little overtake perhaps here from Nobles and Thomas down the main stretches. Another driver's binned it completely. That's Xavier, another victim of the final turn.
I feel like if we talk about drivers, they're inevitably going to crash. So do we just need to not talk about the drivers in this race as Thomas getting as close as you want to the inside of Robert Nobles? But he's putting all sorts of pressure on him as they enter turn 1. I mean, the fact that this track is built on a former Air Force base, where they launched rockets not too far away for SpaceX. Oh, there we go.
Didn't take long to talk about that.
It didn't take long at all. Do we just need to go scenic so drivers don't have a crash?
Yeah, exactly.
Is that what we have to do?
Well, we're about to see Blanchie and Sanchez, so hold on tight, everybody out there. Get your popcorn, put your seat in the upright position and your tray table stowed, because we're about to in for maybe a bumpy landing again.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that it is on this former Air Force base with the different compounds of surface, it's got both the tarmac, the concrete tarmac composite, and then also just straight up concrete in some sections, very similar to Detroit Belle Isle, but it has a lot of street circuit characteristics for a permanent race circuit. So that's one of the challenges that this track brings, and I think it's one of the reasons why they obviously decided to do endurance racing here, whether that's for the 12-hour or for the 1,200 kilometers, depending on the category that you prefer, which I don't even think WEC comes here anymore. I think it's just IMSA. So, but it's a track that tests you. It's one that rewards you for keeping it clean, but it is so tough to keep it clean. It's almost got its own characteristics, as that will be the end of Julien Madore's race as he has to bring that car into pit lane.
Final turn again.
Yeah, final turn, or not final turn, the Lamar corner onto the back straight, and it just caught him out. No moments though at the curb of death, ironically.
Yet. They're saving all that for the next for the feature race, of course, coming up in a little bit. But now we are down to essentially 12, because we've had another crash. And this might have involved a couple of drivers here, unless it's just so many times telemetry. This is AJ Bremer. Let's have a look.
And he's in the top 5 of the championship at the moment.
Leo, and that's telemetry playing up for sure there. There can't be 3 drivers, or 4 drivers, 5 drivers, no. Don't know what happened there.
I'm not sure. Well, at the front though, Jaden Callaway in the number 1 car is leading this race. Hasn't dropped a position off the start. Amel's playing the smart game. He just needs to get some good points, and currently he's gaining over Fabian Sanchez in the championship, who's all the way back in P3. So he's playing the championship game at the moment, buying the ticket to this championship. He cannot afford to have a poor race here this evening. As we can see, Bianchi and Sanchez battling it out towards the final corner. Bianchi down the inside. Sanchez drops the spot. We'll have to try and now find another way around to get back up onto the podium here for race 1 this evening. Zerha makes up the 5, but that's all self-fixed. But could that be carrying damage now that it's self-fixed itself?
Gonna find out.
We've seen that happen. We've seen it happen before, Dean, where someone's lost a wheel and then it's reconnected, but they still carry the damage that was applied to the car. So you think it's all right visually, but technically it is broken, as Lando Norris once said out at Spa.
He is still flying around, but he's got a bit of pressure there from Saji at the moment behind, so we'll see. Under heavy braking zones will be a good indication, isn't it? I think Saji might be seeing, okay, I did see that wall come out and bite you, but Saji got the loud pedal down a little bit too loud coming out in the corner, and unfortunately the super lights don't have that traction that he would love to have had. 13 gladiators and brave souls remain in our first heat race, which for a lot of the drivers is only 1 more lap to go. Thankfully, they're going to be like, woof. This feels like I've been in the Coliseum with a couple of gladiators.
Well, you know, we said it last week, and it was not shown at all at the start of the race. But patience is now going to have to be the key for race 2, I think, Dean, being a longer race. They're just going to have to take their time. You know, I know they're pushing hard already in this one to make up positions, but they're just getting unglued. It's like these bumpy, you know, difficult circuits like Long Beach and Sebring are becoming the solvent for the glue that is consistency. We saw it in the first 3 rounds. We saw great consistency in the first 3 rounds. A couple of moments here or there, yes, but relatively speaking, this race has been a lot more chaotic than what I thought it was going to be. But I think a lot of it has just come down to driver error. Unfortunately, there's nothing that's happened that has been really sort of, why have you done that? Apart from maybe the final corner moment at the end of lap 1. I mean, apart from that, majority of it has been just driver error and copping the little bits of sand on the edging of the curbs.
Oh, I mean, and Jones not slowing down as well too. Just at the fastest lap in the last lap, and you could see him deploying that energy, using up whatever's remaining here to perhaps set another quicker lap. But at this point, with that gap you'd have at 1.6 seconds, you can see there from ML down the road there, I wouldn't be absolutely risking it for the biscuit, because you could bid it out of the final corner. We saw that during qualifying from him as well too. He was on an absolute flyer of a lap. Those mistakes could creep in all of a sudden and go from the penthouse to the outhouse, but don't tell a driver to slow down. It's just almost impossible. They want to go quicker.
He's playing that. He knows he can afford to give up points to Jaden, seeing as Jaden had, well, basically hardly any points last week at Long Beach. So he knows that he can afford this now. And again, just playing that smart game. More points are on offer for race 2. Take the points where you can get them in race 1. And at the moment, for Jaden Callaway of Squid Gang Racing, he traverses the final corner. He's gone from flag to flag at the front of the field. He takes the win in race 1 after starting on pole. Edibe Amel will extend his championship lead over Felipe Sarkis. Bianchi will make it a double podium for the Squid Gang unit as Fabian Sanchez comes across the line P4. Zerha inside the top 5. Del Mar, Brenner, Pedersen for the top 8, and then it's Maya and Nicolas Isidro looks to make up the top 10, but he's under pressure from Ryan Tilball. He'll just get there ahead of him. And then Peter Reitzinger and Arturo Mayorga will make up our 13 car finishes. So Mel gains now a couple of points over Sanchez in this ebbing flowing championship battle. But for Sanchez, he probably wants to try and take the race win in race 2 now and hope that Amel gets a very poor run, maybe even non-finisher. Maybe he hopes that Amel could end up in the wall at the end of lap 1, so then he knows he's always going to gain points on him as Mayorga ends out the race in P13 in that Jack Daniels machine. And I wonder how many people may be mixing their chocolate Easter eggs this weekend with a bit of bourbon. Maybe some of them are giving it up for Lent as well, Dean, possibly, if they're on that side of the fence, possibly, but who knows?
What we do know is those results from Heat 1, which are coming up on your screen now.
You can see Jaden Galloway takes the maximum points of race 1, and Mel and Bianchi for your top 3, Sanchez and Zerha for your top 5, Del Mar, Brenner, Pedersen, Meyer, Isidro for the top 10, Tilborg, Reitinger and Mayorga make up the finishes in that one. We had Medore, Thomas, Nobles, Cernat, Court, Fairchild, Keel, and then further back for the top 24 cars who were pretty much all involved in lap 1 incidents, Ziegler, Briscoe, Turnbull and the Kegel back of the field. So a tough race for some, an easier race for others, Dean. A little bit of a warm-up session now for drivers, maybe practice their race start here and maybe get themselves in the mental capacity to just take a breath, take a lift into turn 1 and think about the laps ahead of them, because they're going to have roughly 30 odd laps to go racing. There's the championship standings. Now, this has been slightly changed. So Sanchez has lost a couple of points to Amel there in race 1. Amel will still lead. The important one is Callaway's now gained back on Briscoe, who is not in. Oh, he's in this week, but he didn't finish anywhere near him. And then same thing for Brenner. So Callaway may find himself further up the order now. Sarkis as well, not here this week too. We're missing our Brazilian in the field. So Callaway's gained on those drivers. Del Mar gained on them. And then Shade Bruffett is not out in the field this evening. Neither is Merchants. Those guys are now going to drop. So it's going to be ebbing and flowing. But I think the most important thing is if you want to be in this championship battle, you've got to be here every single week. And for Amel and Sanchez, well, they've been the standout of the crowd for those who've shown up every week and have taken some solid points in that as well. So it's going to be a tough run for the last half of the season. It's going to be all about keeping it clean now in race 2 here at Sebring this evening. So we'll see through the natural progression of things and through the, trying to keep it clean as best they can, how well they can do. Because last week, well, it was a race of pure attrition, and that paid off for the top 5. So race 1 tonight was a race of attrition. Hopefully race 2 is not. Hopefully it is green to checkered, nice and clean for them.
I was going to say to Elliot, it didn't pay well in the battle, wasn't it, during that dying stage of that race? And if you didn't see it, please go back and review it because, a top 2 going at it. There was the top 2 if I'm not mistaken. Sorry, it's been about 20 podcasts since then. But yeah, okay, so.
Yeah, it was the top 2. They were not the top 2 by the time of the checkered flag.
No.
But they were the top 2 at the time. But that big point haul from that race, getting that top 10 finish, it found him up into P17 at the championship of 18 spots. But tonight, race 1, not the race he would have wanted. So now for race 2, he needs to try and build on that, try and make his way forward, try and stay out of trouble. He made his way forward incredibly well in race 1 before getting taken out. P18, still some good points. Non-finisher though, being that he was 6 laps off the finishing. So he's going to have some work to do, but he made positions early in that race. So now for race 2, he's got to try and make those early positions again, but maybe take a little bit more time. There's more laps on offer. There's more laps on the board. He doesn't have to rush so fast to make up those laps, Dean. So he has the ability now to take his time and push his way forward throughout the procedure of this race as drivers are out there for the warm-up, including Sharji Zerha, Michael Fairchild as well. James Turnbull's out there, as is Leo Del Mar as well. So a couple of drivers out there with only a minute or so to go in the warm-up. And then we'll get going for race number 2. Should be a good one.
Yeah, I just wonder if some of those drivers are practicing their pit stops again, either coming into your pit stop box and get that one perfect, possibly. Or more importantly as well, too, your standing start. I would be practicing that. We've said this before. Think
the pit entry is not so bad here because it is such a wide run through the final corner. If you just hug it in tight, you can very easily get in. The issue with people going into pit lane is if they've decided to go for the wider line and then they just decide to cut straight across like they're going across 3 lanes of traffic to exit the motorway. You know, you've got to sort of make your pit entry predictable at this track to save yourself dramas, unless no one's around you. If no one's around you, fair play, cut the 4 lanes, exit the freeway. If there's people around you, make it predictable. Don't get in their way, because these cars brake when you blink at them. Even you give them the slightest breath, as Zerha's practicing those practice. You know what's a great spot on the back straight to do those practice starts? Of course, during the double endurance race weekend a few years ago, the WEC and IMSA, that back straight was used for the WEC pit lane, whilst IMSA was using the main pit lane, of course. This year, it was only the 12-hour that was there. There was no 1,200 kilometres of Sebring. As the grid comes up for race number 2, Sargi Zerha starts at a P1 ahead of Fabian Sanchez, Antonio Bianchi, and DBML. Jaden Callaway make up the reverse top 5 off the results of race 1. The rest of the field will start how they finished, including Leo Del Mar for your top 6, AJ Brennan, Nick Pedersen, Jace Meyer, and Nicholas Isidro for the top 10, Ryan Tilbor and Peter Eitzinger for the top 12, Arturo Mayorga, Julian Mador for the top 14, Austin Thomas, Robert Nobles with Xavier Cernar, Elliot Court, Michael Fairchild, Cameron Keel, Jared Ziegler, Michael Briscoe, the top 22, James Turnbull, and Christian Kegel, I think, has actually pulled out after the moment lap 1 of race number 1.
There's your pole setter for this one. CJ, arrive and drive a racing entrance. So let's see if he can arrive at the first corner.
See how well he can do. Lights are up. Barney gets to wave the flag as we run off the line for race number 2. 24 laps to come your way of Sebring. As the scramble for turn 1 begins once again. We've made it further than we did last week in race 2 off the start line. As I say that, Julian Madore's gone off track in the background. He has returned to circuit as goes around Jace Meyer in the worst of spots. As debris flies forward, there's been contact with somebody as the scramble begins towards the braking zone into the hairpin of turn 7 here at Sebring. Oh, but it's fast-paced and it's ferocious as Del Mar goes round. Hard into the wall, race done for Del Mar.
2 victims already. And a few more damaged cars that you saw there, front bits of carbon fibre flying absolutely everywhere. A few more overtaken opportunities going to be doing it for us. And earlier here at the moment there, Nicholas and Nick going for it too for now there for the battle for P7 and 8th there. Ryan's a little bit further down. James Turnboy's just dropping 1 post down to 17th at the moment. Our leaders are Fabian Sanchez now. After
Zerha's had a very poor start. Yes. Very poor start, it must be said. For Zerha. Isidro and Thomas battling it out. Here comes Tilbor to put the pressure on him too.
Flying colours of the Benetton.
Yeah. Just ahead of him of Isidro. Poor run through Lamar corner as they run down towards the final corner here of Sebring. The push pass is open. As Tilbor gets past, Fairchild also makes use of the toe to get past Isidro. At the moment, Zerha under pressure from Callaway as they enter turn number 1. And Mel, as Turnbull's had a moment in the background too, so we'll check that out in the moment. Oof. Callaway looks for the switch back through 1. Oof. Wheel-to-wheel action for them, getting a lot closer than I would want to, Dean.
Yeah.
On that one, that was very, very close.
Well, that's Callaway getting past, isn't it? So Callaway doing Callaway things, trying to get his way back up to the front of the field there. Further, another driver trying to get their way through the field as well too. It has actually Elliot Corte, who, as we know, had that little incident, almost getting a guaranteed podium position in Long Beach as Roberto goes off of the kitty litter. Doesn't look like he got any damage on the front there, so, well, that was very, very lucky. Not many drivers have come off the track here in Sebring and survived to tell the tale.
No, it's he's lucky to make it out of that alive, I will say, as Isidro is dropping spots at the moment faster than a sick kid dropping his marbles at the moment. I mean, he's not able.
Than the 2025 stock exchange.
Oh, yeah, true. Actually, that's a good one. Yeah, it's
Well, they're gaining places quicker
Fast and
than
Furious.
tariffs being slapped on, so we won't go into that one either.
We are getting so
Oh,
political
there's
at the
another
moment.
victim.
Oh,
That's
that there
Robert.
was Robert Nobles.
That is where you get your fold-up chair and your Vegemite sandwiches and a couple of cold ones and sit and enjoy that show and sit and enjoy this race, my friend, because that's where the action has been here this evening.
Well, as Zerha continues to battle along with AJ Brenner, he has really struggled off this start. As the man who finished in P5 of race number 1. Started pole this race thanks to the reverse grid. We've done well off the start, Dean. A very, very good start to this race. Only a couple of drivers out at the moment. And some great battling on offer for us as Zerha putting this pressure now on Brenner. And Mel and Callaway battling up ahead too. So it is getting thick and fast for these drivers as Bianchi makes some pressure on the back of Sanchez at the front of the field. But Sanchez needs this win. He needs the points gain over Amel. He needs to try and stay in this battle if he can.
Sauber Power versus Jaguar. Ford Power up the road. If you're going by liveries, of course. Oh, it's so bumpy, man. My back would just be in absolutely agony. Actually, that's the Renault Power. Sorry, up the road there. It looked like for the Jaguar green there for a second, but let's see. Yeah, my back would be killing me. These bumps around here, my friend Sebring.
Yeah, it's you'd want some pretty good suspension in these cars for sure to try and counteract the bumps out here. As Tilbor is putting pressure now on Michael Briscoe. He's got Jared Ziegler in behind. Zerha's in pit lane.
Early, yep.
Yeah, very early pit
Maybe
stop.
put out a clip to the wall, a little bit of damage, or just electing to completely get that pit stop out of the way with. But it's going to be a bit of grueling 21 laps to bring it home on that.
So
Let's go back to the start here. This is
yeah, let's have a look. What's happened to Meyer off the start? Because we saw him go round, and it looked like he did it on his own. He did. He went very deep. Oh, and that was the bit of debris that we saw. His front wing just got clipped at the wrong moment.
and also was that could have been oh, it wasn't Shea, was it? Because Shea was right up the road. That's right. And this is
that was
James.
Not a good start for that team. Not a good start for that team. Both cars spun round lap 1. Robert Nobles as well.
Final
In the Toyota-esque livery, the Lamore corner. Oh, very lucky not to take too much damage off that one.
Well, here comes Elliot. We know Elliot is very, very quick, aka Rabbit Racing.
He has got some proper pace about him, just caught. And he proved that last week at Long Beach. He proved it in the first 2 laps of race 1 before an unfortunate moment put him in the wall. So now, hopefully in this race, he can just continue to push his way forward, apply pressure to drivers up ahead of him, and try and get something out of this race because he needs some solid points. And as we say that, he puts it in the wall, but then it fixes itself.
Yeah, I don't
fantastic
understand.
Damage model, that is. It's fantastic damage model. Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful damage model.
I'm just kind of wondering if anybody at the development team at iRacing's actually like driven a Super Formula around this track at all.
I wonder if maybe they've got nanobots on board.
Yeah.
So if the wheels go back close enough to where they were, it just self-fixes itself. Is that what it is?
Well,
is it that...
the ultimate realistic driving experience here at iRacing.
Is it maybe
slam it into the fence and your car's perfectly okay?
Is it just fusion welding itself? For friction welding itself back together again? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I just don't think that. Well, then again, you know, I guess if a drivers or anybody out there has iRacing, submit that to iRacing so that they can have a look at it and properly address it, actually, rather than us just talking about saying, do something about it. They might not be aware of it. So if you submit that there, they can analyze the data and perhaps get around to that to-do list of things to fix.
very true. But it means that Court's been given a lifeline now throughout the rest of this race. Cameron Keel is out of this one as well. He's just manually disconnected from the server. Jace Meyer did too. So we're down to 20 cars left on the circuit here in race number 2. Isidro making up the back of the field. I believe he has been through pit lane, as is Shaji Zerha. So that team, Zerha running with his strategy. Isidro came in at lap 2. Nobles came in lap 3. So very early stops for those guys. Bianchi wants to move down the inside for the lead on Sanchez. Ran it very quick. Callaway coming through. Here comes the team out of Bianchi of Jaden Callaway. Looking to put pressure on Fabian Sanchez, one of the championship contenders. And he's got a Mel only 2 cars behind him. So he's got to now put the foot down as Court has entered pit lane. But Callaway's putting all the pressure. Big, ferocious dart down the inside. Wants to get the move done. Sanchez gives him a heap of space. Here comes a Mel late dive. We saw how that ended last week at Long Beach, and it nearly happened again. This time with Sanchez. Luckily, though, they've made it through nice and clean. So Amel taking the late dart, trying to pick up any little gap he can, but, well, it went sour last week at Long Beach. It nearly went sour again here at Sebring.
And I'd say that's brilliant. I mean, looks like they're similar liveries, of course, but if they're teammates or not. But that was fantastic there for Bianchi. Just going off onto the racing line there. So Sanchez followed him through there, but it opened up the door for Callaway, and Callaway said, "Thank you very much, I'll take that." So brilliant driving there between the so-called livery teammates, that is. But is what it is, my friend. And then now Noddy's got to see if he can, whether or not try that little run there on Sanchez. Certainly entrance speed a lot more as you get all bumpy, over shaking at the moment there, rattling the fillings out of my teeth, as Martin Brundle would say.
Perhaps maybe a better option would have been going for the deeper run through the final corner, not going so tight, trying to get the run down the main straight instead of having to cut your run forward by nearly rear-ending the car ahead. You're cutting way too much corner speed by doing that. Probably the better option of going for the alternate line and just trying to find another way around, as he was the move from Callaway. So it was a great move, set it up nicely. Sanchez gave heaps of room, but then you'll see down the bottom, Amel just tries to shoot it up the inside. I mean, it's very, very late. He was so lucky to not have an issue there.
What happened to Christian?
Yeah, Christian Kegel, he had a crash, but I think it might have just been a bit of a spin. He hasn't looked to have hit the wall.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, just the rear end saying hello on that one. Red Bull gives you wings. Apparently he only got 1, so that's why he spun round. As Amel is applying the pressure still to Sanchez. We're on lap 7 of 24. We're only a third of the way through this race, just about. So still a long way to go for these drivers. Still a lot of laps to do, a lot of kilometers and a lot of miles around here at Sebring. Be a tough night, though, at the office for them, Dean. I mean, this is not going to be an easy race, that's for sure, as Amel wants it up the inside. As Sanchez shoots the half, sends it up the inside. Job done for Ndibe Amel. And now he's back on the tail of Jaden Callaway, as Sanchez smartly brings it into pit lane. So he wants to try and undercut these guys by coming through for a pit stop.
Yes, sir. Sanchez comes into pit road. So he elects to get out of that one at the moment, although he probably could have sat on the back there, isn't it, of Noddy there, and to get a nice little toe. But different strategy. Could have sat there quite possibly, but I mean, taking that pit stop now is a somewhat of a smart play. He gave up some time in the final corner after getting overtaken. That could have affected his run down the straight, so he's played a smart move. But for Callaway now, he needs to try and fight his way forward, get back up to the rear of his teammate Antonio Bianchi. And for Amel, he's got to try and stick with him. He cannot give up too much time to him now. And realistically just has to stay in this fight as best he can. I mean, Amel this season has been ultra consistent, but we've seen these two tangle as well. Callaway and Amel, who can forget Portland, but they made contact at the lap 1, turn 1. They can get ferocious, they can get feisty, they can get into the wars. But for Amel, he has been one of the most consistent drivers all season, and that has paid off.
with the championship lead for him leading into this race tonight. So for him, he's got to try and continue doing what he's been doing all season long. He's got to try and stay clean and consistent and just get those solid points on the board. And for Callaway, he's got to make up for the lost points at Long Beach. So he needs these race wins more so than anyone, as that there was AJ Brenner into the wall, but the car has fixed itself once again. So it seems to be a prospect of the final corner where you make contact, your car gets fixed as you make it down the main straight. For NTBML, he needs to try and continue to stay clean, stay consistent, stay on the podium. And for Callaway, he's got to try and push his way forward to get a race win once again. He got it in the first race. He needs to get it in the second at this point. As we look back, we can see Ryan Tilbor and Xavier Cernat, they're still battling as well. As they are just, they're looking to keep themselves in the fight, keep themselves inside of the top 10. As, I mean, pit stops are going to be coming up very, very shortly for these drivers. A couple have already come in for early stops, including Sanchez. But for Callaway, when does he pit? Does he go long? I mean, lap 9 of 24, nearly at the halfway point. Halfway point of the race may be the best shout to take those pit stops, quite possibly. As well as you're watching along, guys, too, be sure to get into the chat here this evening. We want to know, you know, where you're watching from, who you want to keep an eye on, your thoughts of the series, thoughts on the cars and the track combination as well. Super Formulas at Sebring. It's a big test for these drivers, and the amount of balancing acts that they have to go through around this place. It's not just balancing the car on the circuit, it's balancing the usage of your push to pass. It's balancing where you push and where you lift and where you try and keep yourself clean as Brenner comes through pit lane. Callaway fastest lap of the race, 138.43. Be sure as well, if you're watching along with us and you're new here, or if you've been here for a while and you haven't done so, be sure to hit the like button. Subscribe to the bell icon as well. That not only helps support the series, it helps support the channel, helps support the broadcasters, but it also, as well, will then allow you the opportunity to get notified whenever we have some racing here on the channel, whether it's through iRacing and a multitude of leagues around the world. It is a proper world tour of racing leagues around the world. Some you may have never even heard of before, as well as other racing formats like the Formula 1 game, R Factor 2, Assetto Corsa, or stuff like that as well. So we've got so much on offer for you from a multitude of sims as well, and so many wonderful broadcasters from around the world coming together for just a brilliant community of racing and broadcasting, and it connects every single series that is broadcast here. They're connected in a way by the fact of you know, they get to share this broadcasting network, and they all get the same amounts of showing as other leagues out there too. So it's absolutely fantastic. And for League Zero, this has been a great series so far as we mark the halfway point of the season. Dean, for Bianchi, Callaway and Amel, though, their battle continues at the front. We're nearly at the halfway point of the race. Just got to try and keep it clean at this point and make it to your pit stop. As we begin lap 11 of 24, you can see Tilbor and Ziegler and Senna nice and tightly contested together. Once again, this is inside the top 10. Briscoe's in for his pit stop. The front runners, though, continuing on.
Yeah, you could just see the fastest lap set down there by Jaden Callaway as well, too, 38.3. But it's only 1/10 shyly quicker than Bianchi in the lead at the moment, so it's not going to be enough, as you can see. So he's getting down with inside a second.
And only a 10th faster than Amel as well, so he's not really pulling away from him too badly either.
As Arturo heads into pit road as well too, and joins a couple of those stricken cars down there as well. But Christian on the back there of Nicholas.
I've noticed as well, the issue now for Fabian Sanchez is he's actually given up a spot to AJ Brenner through the pit stops. He came in ahead of Brenner, has come out behind him, unfortunately. So he's only just behind him at the moment is Sanchez, but still, that's not a loss that he would have wanted to take through the pit stop period. Ziegler is battling it out with Ryan Tilbor still for P9, or P7 on the road, sorry. Adore about 7.5 seconds off the back of them. So this is one of the closest battles we have on track.
Got a good exit speed through there, didn't he? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But, of course, no overtaking through there. But you could if you want. But you'll end up in...
You'd be on dire straits if you were trying to do that, Dean, I must say. That would be quite audacious, trying to go for an overtake through the curb of death. Better just to wait for the straight.
Telling a race driver to wait. You're a race driver. If I'm on the radio saying, okay, slow down there, Hamish, slow down, please, just wait. And you're like, no. Nah,
not slow down.
Going for it.
Race smart.
Race smart. Don't never lift.
It's not slow down, Dean. It is wait for your opportunity.
Oh yeah, you can't use the S word, the drivers, can you? You can't use the slow. Don't say that.
It's not slow down, because you don't want them to slow down. You want them to be smart. That's the S word you want, is be smart. Don't be, uncalculated and just try and push. That's how you end up with an incident. You want them to be smart and wait for the right opportunity. The better opportunity is wait through the curb of death and through the wall corner, get the toe down the back straight and get the move done into the final corner. That is your better overtaking opportunity than trying to go too wide through switch-backing S's to a corner where it can kill you if you look at it wrong. So, you've got to be smart, especially around here. This is a track that rewards intelligent driving and calculated driving more so than just pushing and hoping for the best.
Hamish will bring the sensibility into the driving. Blanchard's replaced the fastest lap there. That was by about 2/10 as well, too. As you can see the gap now, 1.5 now on Jaden.
Well, he's gone about 4/10 faster on that last lap than what Callaway managed. And same thing for Amel. So he's put the foot down and he's managed to gain some proper speed. And they're lapping well over a second faster than Sanchez, who came in a lot earlier than them. So they've stayed out. They've got the lighter fuel load at the moment. They've got tires which are screaming, but the lighter fuel load is paying off for them, as we can see there. That was Brenner. Was that Brenner? Yeah, it was. It was having really, really bad blinking as Madore enters the pit lane. So hopefully that doesn't start to affect Sanchez too much. If it does, he may need to come through pit lane and fix that up with a pink flag, possibly for Brenner.
You see in your timing tower, if you've just joined us at the moment, you're going to be wondering where the drivers from 18th down to 23rd are. Well, 22nd.
They've left the session.
They have left the session, exactly. 23 still shows Leo DeMars in the race, but he's just sitting in pit road at the moment there with a huge bunch of repairs.
The only way we can fix that is by changing the number of the green timing tower settings box that says how many you display. If we change that to 17, it will not display Delmar, who's still in pit lane, but he's not going to be rejoining the race, I don't think.
Fixed. Thank you. We'll do that. Remind you to turn that off for the next race, of course.
Yes, of course. I'll remind you to change it back at the end of the race.
I just won't save it. Someone go at that moment.
That'll fix it.
The Frenchman up against Jared for the Mustard Seed Racing versus the Rodent Racing team. Rodent Racing?
Do rodents like mustard seeds?
That is a very good question. I'm going to find out. Isn't it? Ask Xavier.
I think that's the question. Of course, a lot of political voting happening around the world at this stage as Sennar comes in. That's the question for you to ask your local member. If you're going to vote, I know the US election happened last year, but our Australian election is coming up, and some other elections will be coming up as well around the world. Ooh. That's the question to ask either your local member or whoever's going for prime minister or presidency is, do rodents like mustard seeds?
And you can ask your local government, your local council.
Yeah, ask your council. See what they say. That might determine if you still want to live there or not, depending on their answer. But Sanchez and Brenner, I mean, these guys have been sticking together like glue the last few laps, and it's been good to see. Sanchez is just trying to sit back, save a bit of fuel, let Brenner pull him forward. But with the gap that is starting to build to the car ahead of them in Tilbor, I mean, he still needs to pit, so they should get ahead of him. But do they get ahead of Amel, Callaway, and Bianchi? I don't think so. Not with the pit lane drop that they would take through the pit stop. Do they get past Pedersen? quite possibly, to get back inside the top 5.
Big gains at the moment there as well. As you could see, I still need to head down a pit road, but Michael Fairchild, the driver with the Colombian flag there, and I've been to Colombia a couple of times. I loved it, actually. Colombia. Problem is, you got to have good Spanish there because there's not a lot of English speaking. But I've known a few Colombian drivers as well, and we know that in Formula 1 and stuff like that, they have some certainly quick drivers.
Like one Pablo
Medellin's
Montoya.
where I went as well too, so loved it. Fabian Sanchez, you can see on the back there of AJ Brenner. Still going for it too for now. That's one of the closest, but on your back. And of course, Jared for the Mustard Seed Racing that we saw before. He's up 15 places at the moment, and he's the last of those drivers that have yet to go down pit road.
Yeah, the top 7 yet to pit, as Callaway sent another fast lap of the race on 1:38.01. So him and his teammate Bianchi at the front of the field are swapping and changing fastest lap times, but Sanchez wants to try and find a pathway around Brenner, but he may need a GPS to try and find the correct route up into P8 of this race. Does he maybe just send it at a good passing opportunity? Possibly.
He just went off the track a little bit here, but I think it might be okay there for the Colombian. Yes.
Oh,
lucky.
Getting a bit too close to the wall for comfort there. But as close as you want to get there, you can see the tire marks still in the grass.
He almost crossed the border to Panama with that one through the Isthmus of Panama there, but and come visit me when I was in Panama. But luckily, he's kept it inside the border. Never used that before. He calling a motor race before as in the drivers crossing borders. Well, Callaway's respotted their fastest lap to try to take that away from Blanchie, but Blanchie still has that 1 second gap that he's kind of maintained majority of this. Got down about half a second for a couple of moments there, and then Blanchard just turns up the wick there and says, all right, I forgot I got a whole bunch of boost at my fingertips, and starts to respond by using some of that. As Michael does head it down pit road there for Zucchi Racing. Somewhere along there. The cameras can't even find him. He's hiding.
There he is, just on the left.
Yeah. Ryan also comes in as well too and says, well, I can't leave you down there, Mikey. I'll come and join you.
So now Brenner and Sanchez will scream past these guys through pit lane. Next cars on their list is Ziegler and Pedersen when they come through pit lane as well. So yeah, Bianchi's at that fastest lap at the 37.9. Callaway was like, bet straight away did a 37.7, so the first time we've seen the 37s in this race. Amel, not quite at that speed. His best lap time is a 38.49. Is he maybe saving some push to pass? Quite possibly. But with 8 laps to go and we cross the line, Brenner and Sanchez are still hotly contesting P6 now on the road. Ziegler is up 16 positions, needs to enter pit lane. The biggest movers currently who have pit is Briscoe and Fairchild, the two Michaels, up 10 and 12 positions respectively, as Brenner is covering that inside line to absolute perfection, and Sanchez is screaming to get past as Callaway enters pit lane. So one of the top 2 into the pit lane now. First of the front runners coming through. We'll see where he ends up in comparison to Brenner and Sanchez, but I predict he's going to come out well ahead of them still here, Dean, because they're not even on the back straight yet.
Yeah, we've got a blinker there too. I think we have... Oh, no, they've peeled in the pit road.
Yeah. No, Brenner's disappeared. He disappeared off the screen. Whoa. Now he returns.
That's a bit frightening, isn't it, for Sanchez? He's sitting there going, I think he's there. I know he's there. He is there. And now, it doesn't have to worry too much if you can get past him. He say, blink all you like. You can blink down to Saji down the road, and I'll be happy with that. But if you can get past him, because he still hasn't done it yet, stay away from the fence.
Should be able to. There we go. Got the wide line, got the run, and now tries to break the toe and break the opportunity at making the overtake down towards turn 1. So Callaway's come out. I think it's roughly 8 seconds ahead or so, maybe only 10 seconds, as Pedersen looks to get involved in this one too. He's come through pit lane. He's come out right in the midst of this battle. Sanchez gets the job done. P5 for him.
Oh, he's
Brenner gets past 2. Sanchez has gone off. Don't hit your teammate. Mr. Pedersen doesn't. And now they'll have to try and work together to get up to Brenner and Sanchez up ahead of them.
Unless you're out in centre and ain't Lane Prost and it's game on.
Was
that too soon?
It's crossed.
Julian and James, as Julian just looks like he's lets James past. different strategy between those two drivers at this point, isn't it? Home positions gained up there for James Turnbull.
And for Medor, just trying to run a consistent race, possibly.
Look at that. Blanchie set the fastest laps to try to cover off Callaway's pit stop before. So Callaway's rejoined back into P3. You said had a comfortable gap, but that gap down to 26 seconds. Let's have a look there. We're doing... This is the thing about iRacing pit stops on tracks, isn't it? It says the overall pit stop's 36 seconds, but I guarantee you that Blanche is going to be out.
That's the travel.
That's the whole travel in, yeah.
Yeah, he'll be out as Ziegler comes in. So he should, on average, he'll probably give up about 25 seconds.
Yeah.
Because Callaway came in with around about a second or so gap. So it's about a 25-second loss, because you've got to remember they are stationary for a period of time, but they're also going slower through pit lane. On average, say for a touring car, the loss is about 35 seconds in pit lane for all pit stops, because you still got to take into account of the travel time as well. So at a 25-second loss, as Fairchild,
very slow came out of the corner. It
was. Yeah, I think he might have had a spin possibly.
It's hit the bump there?
Yeah, big bump. Yeah, around she went. That's why it was so slow.
Yeah, interesting too when... So you're right, because they've been stationary about 7 seconds in the pit stop, apart from Sargi that was in there for 11 seconds, almost 12 seconds.
Yeah,
so
he took tyres, that's why. So
yeah, so it's just 7 seconds for gas at this point. And it will be less the later you go in, no doubt. So you would expect
it would still be it'd still be the same, because it's the fixed amount you need to get to the end. So it doesn't matter how long you go. Because relatively speaking, even if you come in early, you need that amount of fuel to get home, because it's a total amount that you need. So it's not that you're getting closer to the end, you need less fuel to get to the end. It's because of the tank capacity, you can only make it so far. So it means you're always going to need that extra few laps of fuel to get home. So for 7 seconds, I know for a supercar, it's 2.3 liters per second of the fill. So if you were to run it on that maths at 7 seconds, they're roughly taking maybe 3.5 liters in fuel. So that's probably good enough for 3 or so laps. So Bianchi maybe goes lap 20 and then comes in. That might be the extent of the tank, possibly. So yeah, so they're always going to need that 7 seconds. They could risk it and take less, like Fairchild, who only took 6.65 seconds worth of fuel.
Yeah.
But then you are having to fuel save a little bit too. So it's, that's the balance. But yeah, you're always going to need that set amount, because it's what you need to get home. It's not that you go longer, you take less.
Well, the gap to Callaway is for our race leader 28, so we think that should be enough, considering Blanchie's been putting in good, quick laps of 37s, and Blanchie, speak of the anti-auto sport driver right now, and Noddy Amal has come in as well too. So, will Noddy clear Callaway? Will be the question. I'd say that's on. I don't
think he does. Amel is in, as is Bianchi. Where is Callaway? He's coming down towards the final corner. So Bianchi's going to come out ahead of him. I think Amel comes out right near him. So Bianchi's already dropped. Here comes Callaway, final corner. Amel is leaving pit lane. It's going to be tight. He's going to get right to him on the exit. Amel is going to jump him, but it's going to be close, because Callaway's on the warmer tyres and he's on the run. He got him. So that longer exit of pit lane cost Amel slightly, but you see that it's about 2.5 seconds up to Bianchi. About a 25-second loss in pit lane.
There we have it. Thank you for that information. But now it's on. Now it's on for the top three. Can they catch Bianchi? Because that's a bit of traffic up the road too that Blanchie's just caught. Actually got past, so he's got a little bit of a back marker between himself there and P2. So Jaden Callaway, who won the first heat race, also put the car on pole, if I'm not mistaken, as well too. Has to absolutely put banker laps after banker laps after banker laps in right now to catch the livery teammate there says Avanti Autosports, and of course Jaden Callaway's Squid Gang Racing. But
I just think they haven't changed their team name in SDK, to be honest with you.
It's probably what it is. But I think throw those team orders out at play at the moment as...
Yeah, but Scarlet rules for them, not Papaya rules. Scarlet rules for Callaway and Bianchi. Give us some sim magic, if you will. That was a horrible pun for the fact that they have sim magic on the side of their cars. But for Callaway, thank you. He's got to put qualifying laps in at this point. He's got to try and put qualifying laps in, put the pressure on Bianchi. He has caught him. He's down to 0.8 of a second.
It has.
As Zerha is battling with AJ Brent at the moment, they've got Pedersen in behind. Sanchez has managed to pull out a 4.2 second lead. So this battle has now helped Fabian Sanchez. The problem is he's got 13.5 seconds up to his rival in the championship in DBML on the podium. So probably shouldn't have come in early, Fabian. You gave up a lot of time across that period of the race by running.
Right, boys, going to get this overtake done, all right, as per the choreographed script that we said earlier that we sent to you, because so that way we can get the screen time back up to the front. See if that situation's go! Contacted, slammed him into the fence, bang! Hard.
Oh my God.
Arrived and drived into the fence, there was contact, and game over. That was
probably one of the fastest areas he could have possibly had an incident. The amount of speed that car carried into the wall. If this was,
bang.
Well, realistically, if this was a real life race, that halo would have just saved his life. Like he has literally just gone straight into the wall. Boom. Oh my God.
Now you got to wonder, did he turn out on him? Hang on, we'll go back here.
This is a fair shot. So let's have a look.
Did he turn?
Well, it looks like he's holding his line. Now he's moving towards the left slightly. If we go slow, we can compare.
Yeah, why is the 30 coming out?
Yeah, he's come out back on him.
Yep. Now he had enough space too, so I don't think he should have had to go wide.
He didn't need to go slightly right to then go left. This is not cars where you're trying to save the rear end. It's just an unfortunate moment. It really is, as Callaway's now hot on the heels of Bianchi. They battle for P1 on the road. 3 laps to go. 0.3 of a second is the gap for Bianchi and Callaway. Is it Scarlet rules or is there team orders at play between them? As they battle on forward.
Peter Sauber would have been watching this right now with biting his nails. That was 2 of his teammates back in the day. Team drivers.
Yeah, definitely does not want to look at that. As Callaway up the inside of Bianchi. Sorry, no, Bianchi covering the inside line. Do apologise.
Oh.
Callaway wants to go a long way round. Has to get it the tough way. Gets the job done. So Callaway back into the lead and looks to take the double win here tonight after starting on pole of race number 1. But Bianchi wants to say something about it.
Yep.
Not quite get there in the end.
It's not denying me. Then she said, I've got this one. I've had this one here for the majority of the race. I'm not going to hand it to you this easy, my friend. We are going to fight tooth and nail with 3 to go. I don't know if they got the memo from last week's top 2 going for it and come down to the last couple of laps as...
Well, the worst thing that could happen to them is they crash and they give DBML the win, which then means he extends his championship lead over everybody.
Say, that's not a great scenario, is it, for these teammates to do that?
And they're starting to let ML chase them down, so it's becoming a 3-horse race very, very quickly here as they run through the final corner. 2 laps left to run here at Sebring in what has been a fantastic second race of the evening. A real feature for us to feast our eyes on as they run towards turn number 1. So the top 3 separated by barely a whisper, less than a second, only 6/10 in it. And Bianchi is putting all sorts of pressure on Callaway. Maybe Amel just sitting back, hoping that they're going to make contact. But being that they're teammates, it's fairly unlikely, as Saji Zerha's had a moment in the background. So let's have a quick look at that before we get to the final lap.
No, that was the incident before, wasn't it?
No. Oh yeah, it was. Sorry, it was.
Yeah,
sorry, yes.
That was that.
I'm just.
You could say it. You can say that the famous Charles Leclerc in
I'm stupid.
in Azerbaijan.
Yeah.
I am stupid. It's all right. You're not. There's a lot of things looking at. This has just popped up on my screen as well too, saying that he had an accident.
I've just seen it. I'm like, oh, what happened? It's like I completely forgot that he was absolutely murdered into the wall.
It's the car still literally overtakes. Look at the overtake energy that's been saved.
He has been banking it, which is what we said before. These guys were putting down quali laps, and I thought, oh, Mel might be saving this here, but he's gonna. I reckon he uses this for the whole lap. Yep. He's got enough to use it for the whole final lap. Why not use it? You know, it's 140. He's got over 2 minutes of overtake left. He's gonna run the whole final lap with overtake on for Ndibe Amel. So now the pressure is on Callaway and Bianchi because Amel is going for it. He's going to go for a fastest lap on the final lap of the race. He sets the fastest lap, 137.54, and he's going to get a full lap with overtake on, so that lap may get even quicker for Ndibe Amel.
So's Bianchi using it too.
Yeah, they're both using it. So at this point, I mean, it's hard for Amel to get past because this circuit is so tough to get overtakes done. You can defend very easily, but he's got the pace on them. So if he can maximize his run through Lamar corner, he may just have a chance down towards the final corner, especially if Bianchi runs out of overtake before they get there.
He will, I think. You can see if the drivers are listening, it's a delayed broadcast anyway by enough probably to take 30 seconds out of that. So you're not going to get too much advantage if you are listening. I'm sure at the moment they're going to go and however. What a Callaway. Callaway's got, there you go. So Callaway's got a little bit up his sleeve. Enough to defend against Noddy, you'd say, but...
He's got enough to last him to the line. He's got 100 seconds left. He's got plenty in hand. But for Bianchi, he is about to run out. He's literally going to run out on the back straight. He's got 20 seconds left. And Ndibe has got about 50 seconds left. So he's got plenty in the tank to get this job done over Bianchi. Bianchi's going to try and cover the inside line. So now it's literally going to be a race to the line for Ndibe Amel. He's going to have just enough to make it around the final corner as Callaway leads them through for the final time of race number 2. Bianchi is just going to survive to Ndibe Amel as they cross the checkered flag. Callaway takes the win. It's a 1-2 finish for himself and Bianchi. Amel gets on the podium. Fastest lap of the race for Callaway, a 136.72. Sanchez comes home in P4 with Brenner hot on his heels, 21.8 seconds back as they traverse the final corner for the final time as Sebring. Barney's got the flag out. Pedersen inside your top 6. Briscoe, Ziegler, and then Isidro is 16 seconds back off them. So Tilbor, Turnbull, Madore, Mayorga, and Rekriegel are out of this race. So, what a race, though, for Callaway. Double win at Sebring. He's the king of Florida in League Zero Formula Series.
Oh,
he takes the win as he just crashes into
That's a penalty. You can't bring the car back to pit lane for scrutineering. That is potentially, that's it. So, I'm readjusting these points now. This is a racing sim, remember? So, I'm going to bring a car home.
Yeah. Yeah, you do.
I reckon if I was league management, I'd be tough on these drivers.
Implement that rule.
You're out in qualifying if you've been it. Your car, if you got a car that gets too much damage in practice, you won't make it for qualifying, and you have to drive the car back, and we've got to weigh it. Anyway, here's our feature results, my friend.
Yep, as we bring it up, Jaden Callaway has taken the win in Sebring. Full maximum points, fastest lap, feature race win, heat race win, and pole. He finishes ahead of his teammate Antonio Bianchi on the top 2. Amel makes up the podium. Sanchez, Brenner for your top 5. Pedersen, Briscoe, Ziegler, Sernav, Tilbor for the top 10. Turnbull, Madore, Isidro, the last of the finishers. Mayorga, Rekriegel, the last cars still in the session for the top 15. Fairchild, Zerha, Thomas, Nobles, Court, Meyer, Kiel, Del Mar, the non-finishers, and Reitzinger, the non-starter in this race as well. Shade Buffett in the chat saying top 3 managed this race perfectly. Well done. It was a great effort from the top 3 and a great night on Circuit Forest Dean. Next week though, we head out to the Temple of Speed at Monza for the first European round of the next section of this season. We haven't been to Europe since we were at Algarve, Portimao for round 2, so it'll be good to return. Then we'll head out to Australia at the 1st of May, Phillip Island the Nürburgring Grand Prix Stärker for May 8th, Autodrome International Enzo e Dino Ferrari, Imola for round 9, and then we'll end it all at the Circuit of the Americas. So we're at the halfway point of the season, 5 rounds to go across the next 5 weeks of racing. You guys don't want to miss it, so be sure to hit the like button and subscribe, the bell icon as well. Be notified whenever we go racing here on JP Broadcasting, with a world tour worth of racing to come your way here on the channel across a multitude of sims. You guys don't want to miss it, with an absolute cornucopia of broadcasters and commentators. There are a multitude of opinions, multitude of styles. There'll be something surely you like across the way. But I'm Hamish with Dean Biggles alongside here for round 5 of the League Zero to perform in the series out at Sebring International Raceway. We'll see you guys next time when we head out to Monza next week. But if you're celebrating, have a happy and safe Easter across the weekend. If you're not, have a happy and safe weekend anyway. You know, it's one for all of us to enjoy, whatever it may be. We'll see you guys next time, and until then, stay safe, drive hard, and as always, bye for now.